Hi everyone, welcome to Tom's Manshed. Now today's review is on this. It's a gas-powered soldering iron that I picked up the other day from Aldi. Now, I get most of my tools from Lidl's. Out of the two, I sort of prefer the Parkside range to the Aldi Ferex range. But they're both pretty similar and they both have 3-year warranties. Now, I already have two other soldering irons that I got from Lidl's. This soldering station where you can digitally select the temperature. And I've also got this little tiny rechargeable lithium powered one, both of which I've reviewed in previous videos. But the reason I got this one for was, won't go into too much detail now, I'll wait till the end of this video, was to do something with this. So first of all, I'll show you the actual soldering iron. So it's there, it's gas powered, and you can use it as a mini blow lamp with a bare naked flame, like a very precision blow lamp flame, or as a hot air gun, obviously not as sophisticated and temperature select as a proper hot air workstation, but again I'll show you that, and as a conventional soldering iron with different tips. We'll go into them in detail soon, but it comes in a nice presentation box. Well, not presentation box, but a nice storage box. I was just expecting it to be a tray inside there, but it isn't. It's an actual box with a post lid. So I almost forgot. It ships without gas in it. Obviously, they can't sort of ship things full of gas, and they're not going to give you the gas bottle. So it just uses standard aerosol butane or a butane propane mix canister that you use for filling cigarette lighters. And what you do, I won't press it down now, as it says in the instructions, always try and use it, fill it in the opener away from sources of ignition, but you just push that down hard. You'll hear the gas. If you've ever filled a lighter, it's exactly the same. You'll hear the gas coming out. It all starts frosting up round here, and as soon as it sort of starts flowing out, you know it's full. There's no gauge or anything, or no see-through tube to show you the level of the liquid gas inside. So just keep holding that down to fill it. I only held it for a couple of seconds. I didn't hold it till it was full, and I've been using it for 5-10 minutes in the demos that you're going to see. Fine, so it should last quite a long time on a charge of gas. So without further ado, let's see it in action, and I'll go through all the bits you get with it in more detail. Okay, so let's just see a bit in detail what we get in the box. First of all, that'll give you a clue to what I've bought this project for. More of that later. So, first of all, we've got the actual blow lamp soldering iron itself. Now, this control here is the amount of gas getting to it, so the heat. The more you turn that up, the hotter it gets and the fiercer it glows. This button here is a lock button that once you've got it turned on, instead of holding the trigger back all the time, you can lock it into position so it's basically on all the time. This button on the side here is a button that whenever you press it, it interrupts the flow of gas temporarily, so you can control the temperature. This is what it says in the book. How accurate that is, I don't know. When you press it, it shuts the flow of gas off. But because of the thing inside that glows red hot, it carries on being a light, if you will, but slowly fading. So then you release it and the gas flows again. So if you kept doing that, it would reduce the temperature because you're only having it on for half the time. This trigger here is the one that you pull back to turn it on, and only when you press that release button. So that is locked. I can't move that now, but once I hold that button, I can then pull this down. I'll show you that shortly. So this is the blow lamp nozzle, if you will. That's the inside of it. You never use it as that is, but this part here you put over there, tighten it down, and this is then the blow lamp. So if I turn that on now, so press that button down there, pull this trigger back, and as you can see, I don't know whether you can see that flame there, but it's quite a precise flame. If I hold something dark behind it, like my phone there, you can see it's a very, very tiny little precise flame. And like I say, if I'm holding this trigger back at the moment, if I push this button underneath there, that has now locked it in position, and it's alight as it is. So that's the blow lamp function. And then as you, like I say, if I push that in, it shuts off the straight gas. You wouldn't use that button on the blow lamp because it immediately shuts it off. But as you'll see shortly, the other bits that go on it carry on glowing in the middle. So that's a blow lamp function. I'll let this cool off now before I take it off, and then I'll show you the other bits. So it's cooled down now. If we remove this, the blow lamp attachment, and we put in this bit, I'll just take one of the soldering tips out, and what we do is we drop this piece here into the nozzle. So that's now dropped inside there. And then we re-screw it back on there. So this is now the hot air blower. Hot air will come out of there, and this thing here, again I'll show you more detail. I don't know whether you'll be able to see, but in there's like a little grill, little matrix sort of thing. There you can just see it. And that glows red hot. So this is now, if you will, the hot air blower. So again, press the safety lock there, pull the switch back. It does do that screaming noise from cold if you try and light it on full gas, which I had it on. So if you turn the gas down, pull that back, pull that forward, there is a little orange glow thing there. I'll press that to keep it on, and you can probably see that glowing red hot now. I can adjust the flow again with this, so from full, you can see it glowing in the end as well, and down. And this is the hot air blower. Now there's no fan in there as such, it's just depending on the hot air coming out. Now this might be quite handy for this project, which I'll explain again later. But if we hold this up here now, this notepad, and I just hold that on it, you'll see there it's burning. You know, there is definite hot air coming out of there. I'm not touching the paper. If I held it on there, it would, I'm sure, burst into flames. You can even draw a line with it. So that's the hot air blower. Again, if we just click the trigger here, that bit there, like I say, if we, that I mentioned before, if we press that, it stops the flow of gas, but the thing is still going. If I let go, it starts up again. You can see the heat goes, but it's still enough to reignite it when I let go. So you'd have to sort of like be multiple pressing that, or you can control it with the regulator here. See that glow has gone less now, it's still there. But as I turn this up, I'm at full blast now. There's no screaming noise now, it just seems to be when it's cold. And then as I turn it down, that's a lower temperature. So if low isn't low enough for you, you could then pulse it with that button there. So we'll turn that off now, flick the switch underneath, and you'll see this trigger move up. And we'll let that cool off, and I'll show you the soldering tips. As you can see, the little stand there, it's flat there. We could just leave it like that, and it's quite a way off the deck. Right, so that's cooled off now. Nice and cool. So to use it as a soldering iron, you leave these two pieces on, and you can put in one of the soldering bits. Now, except we have this one here, which I think they call a chisel end. We've got this one, which is just a standard end. We've got this one, which is like a screwdriver blade. And this one, which is a long pointy one. So if we put this one on just to show you, and these just screw in the end like that, just hand tight. There's no flats on them for a spanner or anything like that, you only need to have it hand tight. And if we this is the little roll of solder you get with it. It's quite a fair amount on there, so we'll just break a bit of that off just to show it. And so safety lock in, handle back. Oh, we had it on full gas. Ignite it. That's glowing now. So we'll put it on full sort of heat, and it heats up pretty quick, being gas. If we just put the solder there, and not reached full temperature yet, I can feel the heat coming off it with me hands. There, we can see it. Don't know whether you can see that. It's melting the solder quite well. So again, release the lock underneath. The handle slides up, and that that's it out. So we'll just let that cool off now. And the other parts you get with it are this thing here, which they call a heat spreader. And that goes on, so again you just take one of the soldering tips out, leave the hot air nozzle on, slide that on there, and then the hot air will sort of bounce into that. And I'm not sure what you'd use that for, sort of like an iron, I would think. So you could smooth things, like melt things, and with that be too hot for putting iron-on film, solar film on models, and that you'd obviously just use your temperature control, lower temperature iron for that. But anything that needs melting, I suppose you could use that for. So that's the other tool you get with it. And you get your little sponge, little piece of sponge. I've not soaked that yet, but as you know, when you soak that, it swells up, and you can use that to wipe your soldering tips. And finally you get this cover for keeping it all protected, and it all comes in this quite nice box. So put your tips in there. There's just space for 3 tips, and you keep the other one on the iron itself. The iron goes in there like that. Heat spreader there. Solder back in its tube. And that. And there we've got all the things in its box. So yeah, I think for $12.99, it's not a bad price. And as with Aldi, usual stuff, and Lidl's, you get a 3-year warranty, an email address there, an 0800 number for support there. So yeah, not a bad bit of kit. So that sort of concludes the demo of the soldering iron itself, and yeah, I think for $12.99 it's not a bad addition to me steadily getting huge collection of gadgets and tools. But I did say I would go into the reason I bought that as opposed to using the others. As well as the ones I showed you at the beginning of this video, I've also got a Weller instant soldering iron, and I've got 2 big BLOWLAMP blowtorches that I used in my career as a gas engineer stroke plumber for years, one of them with a precision nozzle on it as well. So I've plenty of soldering equipment, but I thought that might be particularly handy for this. Now the reason is I'm in the process of building a PC for my young grandson, his first gaming PC. It'll have a low budget because my daughter hasn't got much money, but it'll be a reasonable game playing computer. We're sourcing some parts new. I found a great auction site called Simon Charles where you can get some really cheap graphics cards, motherboards, stuff like that. But processors are still high and they don't show you close-ups of the pins or anything like that. So I've been looking on eBay, and there's quite a lot of processors at reduced prices because they've got bent pins or pins missing. Now, bent pins isn't too much of a big deal because you can straighten them with a Stanley knife blade and a magnifying glass, no problem. But if they've actually got missing pins, that's a different kettle of fish. So what I've done, I've bought this off eBay just to practice on. It's an old Sempron processor, AMD Sempron, absolute dinosaur. Nobody would build a PC with it now. It was £3.67, including the postage. It's never been used. It's going to be a shame to just use it for practice on and to rip it to bits, because it's never ever been used. So it's just wrecking it. But like I say, it is as near as you can get to useless. Nobody would use it today, and it was only £3.69. Now, there are videos online of people replacing the pins with a piece of copper wire. Again, I've got loads of different copper wire. I've got micrometer. I could get the exact width of the wire and match it to the pins, as some of the videos. But I thought it's a lot easier to just get a scrap processor. There's 700 pins on there or more. I didn't count them individually. I counted 27 by 27, so I think it came to about 730 or something like that. And I'm going to use this soldering I'm just showing you to unsolder some of these pins and then try resoldering them again. I've ordered, it's Sunday today, I ordered yesterday some magnifying glasses off Amazon and some little tiny locking tweezers as well. So that'll help me do this, and I'm going to use all three methods of that soldering iron to take the pins off and put them on. Now, taking them off won't be a problem. It doesn't matter if the heat damages the insides of the chip underneath. But obviously, when I'm putting them on the new, better processor, I'm looking for something like an AMD 3600 or an AMD 3700. And if I can get one, like I say, with missing pins, I can get it a lot cheaper, and it's worth the gamble, I think, just trying to get them pins replaced. When I come to put them on, I don't want it getting unbelievably hot. So I have got plans, I've got a method in my head of doing it, and I'll be going into that in its own separate video. So basically, I'll be unsoldering pins from here and resoldering them. But I haven't got that processor yet. I don't know when it will be. There's no mad rush to build this PC. So that review might be a couple of months coming, but promise you it will come, and I'll go into close-up detail of me unsoldering these pins and soldering them on the new processor. And I will use the three different methods of that, maybe the naked flame, the hot air part, and the soldering tips. Gets gets hotter a lot quicker than the others, so that might be an advantage. But like I say, bear with me on that review. It will come along, but I don't know when. But this was just on that soldering iron, and as you saw, yeah, I think it's quite a good buy. £12.99. I've looked on eBay. There are Amazon. There are a lot of very similar kits on there, and some separate soldering irons, and some of the tools separate. But as a kit, they seem to all be about sort of £17 to £20. So for £12.99, I think it's quite a good buy. And like I say, as with the Lidl stuff, it's got a 3-year warranty. So even if it breaks down in 2.5 years' time, you ring the service number up, keep your receipt. Don't forget, I always say that, keep your receipt. You will need that for 3 years in a drawer somewhere, and it will be covered. So I hope this has been of some use. Keep your eye out for that video on repairing that CPU. And if you want to be informed on that, just click the picture of the shed here to subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you like this video, thumbs down if you don't. Any comments or questions, leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.